Today, folks, we're looking at another CMB knife, and if I ever call them PMP, I'm mistaken. That's a separate company, and I have done reviews on the PMP knives, including the big saber-tooth tiger knife there, the Smilodon, and so on and so forth. Anyway, this is a CMB knife, and CMB company has been apparently doing OEM work for the last 10 years, and now they have started their own label, so CMB knives. And this, strangely enough, is a Jelly Jerry design. There is Jelly's logo. And I had an extensive chat session with him on Instagram the other day. He was very, very interesting to chat with, and gave me lots of information about himself, his designs, and we kind of exchanged ideas. And I thank you for being so open and available, Jelly. Great person to get to know. So this is a Jelly Jerry design, a little unlike some of his other designs, and this really falls into a category that looks so much like the Gavko Thresher. I'll say that right up front, and you're probably saying the same thing if you're familiar with that knife. And I've got a couple of Gavko Thresher designs over on the side here, as well as one other. But this is a beautiful knife. I had a choice of getting it in all titanium handle, in like either a blue or a bronze, I'm not sure, or this fantastic shred carbon fiber with blue flecks, gray and black. It's just deep and amazing. Nice contouring on this knife. Titanium on one side and the carbon fiber on the other. I really would have preferred maybe a carbon fiber inset or inlay into a titanium knife on both sides. That's my preference, but I've got a few that are built like this, including some Bestex designed by Todd Knife and Tool. And what it does is it makes for an extremely light knife. And this is very ergo friendly. In a saber cross palm grip, this fits perfectly. It just melts right into your hand. Great, great ergos. However, if you want, you can stretch your thumb out, and there's a nice ramp, nice forward swale pocket there for your thumb. So you can choke up and get a square grip on this knife for those that like that sort of hold. And I just did a nice jab in my background there. Have to ink that up. Oh well. But we've got this peaked, actually with the thumb ramp, double peaked design on a trailing point blade. And yes, it is in M390. So it's a bump up above a couple of the Thresher knives that I have, which I believe are in S35VN, but I'll double check that for you later. So let's measure it up. I like the design. I bought this design before, but I have not bought this knife before. It is very close to 8.5 inches. We'll call it 8.5 inches. It falls slightly short. And 3 3/4 inch blade with a cutting edge of 3.65. But we'll call it a 375 blade, okay? In millimeters, starting off here, pretty thick blade stock, almost 4 millimeters, 3.9. If we switch to inches, 0.15, and if we grab the handle in the middle, 0.51. So really half an inch thickness on the handle, quite nice. Let's see what she weighs. Should be pretty light. I haven't weighed it yet, and I haven't looked at the specs. Yeah, 3.5 ounces. Pretty good. So 3.5 ounces and over 3.5 inch blade, that gives us an ounce per inch, under an ounce per inch. So that is very cool. I don't know who came up with that ounce per inch. I think it was nothing fancy way back when. Thank you for that measurement, for that standard, if you will. Definitely is light, and this is not going to be anything you're going to feel in your pocket at all. It's going to stick out about a ½ inch out of your pocket, not too bad. Titanium clip, titanium backspacer. Do we have titanium screws? No, there's steel screws. Would be nice sometimes that we get titanium hardware. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Action is quite nice on bearings. For a light blade, almost completely drop shut. Perfect centering and a really nice blade to handle ratio. Can't do much better than that. And we've got a nice upsweep here to the handle, which protects your thumb and fingers against getting jabbed by that overly long blade. Nice little rise there and nice mill work on the handle. So can we open it this way? No. Can we open it with a middle finger flick? No. And it isn't because I'm pressing on the lock bar. It's because we have a very stiff detent. Well, let's put it this way. It hangs on and you can't fail it. It breaks at the last minute. Do I have trouble opening it with the flipper tab? No, not at all. You just do a nice follow through with a light switch and there it is. I don't think you're going to be able to do a push button. Not really. But you got that nice hook forward and some very effective jimping there. The jimping, besides being pretty deep here, is, as I said, very effective on that thumb ramp. And you know, when you put your thumb right in there and you connect here and here, it just feels like a really good pistol grip, you know, whatever. I have nothing else to compare it to. So that blade that's almost 4 millimeters tapers nicely to not an overly thin tip. You see that? Nice wedge at the top and a single peak in the middle of the blade, but we could call that also a peak there as well. Not a harpoon, really, exactly, not at all. All right, so here was the first Gavko Thresher. So this is Michael Gavek's design, right? This one was made by BRS Blade Runners. There's no markings on the blade. I'm going to get you the steel on that one in one sec. Okay, it's S35VN. And the odd thing about this BRS Blade Runners, and a lot of the BRS Blade Runners, is no billboarding at all, no marking at all, period. Not even the company name, except I believe that's Michael Gavek's logo. I don't think that's the Blade Runner logo. You tell me if you think differently. But right there, I believe that's Gavko's symbol, logo, because it's his design, but you don't see it anywhere else. And this blade is really thick. 4 millimeters. That's funny. It's just a bump up from the Prowler, but it looks so much thicker, you know? Maybe because it lacks jimping or whatever. But this is the XL, so they're calling it the Thresher XL, and you can see that it is larger, it is longer, and maybe just a tiny bit taller in the blade. Same sort of handle. So, you know, Jelly Jerry, that's his design, but it is so close to the Thresher. Then I went and a while back got the drop version of the Thresher. This is not the Thresher XL, this is the Thresher S35VN. There's Gavek's logo, and there's some oil. Just can't seem to keep this blade clean, and if I push too hard in the wrong direction, I'm going to open my hand up right on the video. This one's got a neat, I have a name for it, escapes me, but that sectioned off handle, and I love the brass look, the worn distressed brass look on that titanium handle. All right, so that's that one. And then keeping in the same theme, look at this. Here is the Tepe designed Hornet 2. I think originally that was a Kickstarter, or maybe his first one was. But that is pretty near the biggest of the bunch. It's a tiny bit longer than the Thresher XL. The blade's identical. The handle may be slightly longer. And this guy is all carbon fiber with a hidden liner. Actually quite a thin liner, which you could complain about, but fantastic fall shut action. And you can actually use that opening hole. Now look at this. Let's take the BRS out of the picture for a moment. And opening hole looks somewhat similar. The top, the spine of the knife looks somewhat similar. I mean, seeing a lot of echoed design notes. Notice I avoided the word copied. But you know, sometimes there truly is what we call independent invention. How many different designs can there be? I don't know. Maybe it's unlimited. But our focus today is not on any of these other knives. They're just out there for comparison. Our focus is on the Prowler, a very light knife with a trailing point. Not exactly Persian. It doesn't really go, I mean, even calling it a trailing point might be stretching it, because that point is in line with that axis almost directly above, right on the top of the pivot. Speaking of which, just plain pivots with the T8 should be easy to tune and disassemble. Just a really slick knife. I think it could be an EDC as well as a nice little showpiece. These are going for about $198 on White Mountain. I'll leave you the link. I have to clean up my blackboard here. Hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. I will be back with you soon. Take care.